Yo, what the fuck is going on? Today is December 23rd. We're going to be going over penny stocks, pre-market, and open market. I was kind of sick end of last week, so I didn't really post a whole lot towards the end of the week. But a quick refresher from the end of last week. We started off Monday, Tuesday last week with a bunch of crazy moves like NUKK nuke. We had SIDU. We had a ton of plays. Towards the end of the week, things started to slow down a bit. We did have some random movers, and percent gain wise, there was still a lot to play. But I felt like continuous moves over pre-market high, there weren't a lot of. And so coming into today on Monday, I wasn't expecting a whole lot. But sometimes during Christmas week, during holidays, sometimes you get a couple tickers that go fucking bonkers. But today was also a mixed bag. I still think today was not as hot as kind of the last week, the first start of last week. But we're gonna run through it first with ABAT, ABAT. This one was the previous runner. This one ran, I believe, last week sometime. Let's check it. Oh, let's take that off. This one ran, let's take a look. Ran December 18th, so last week. It came from under $1, and it was just like a weird setup here. But we have these 150 pivot level, which today was pivoting over top of. I still not the biggest fan of these, and I also didn't love the volume coming into open here, especially for stuff that has been bullish. Usually starts to kick off early morning, I would say. We haven't seen a whole lot of just fades and then push. We have seen a couple, but in this market, usually it's a couple candles here and then push. We did have this level here at 150 that it could have bounced off of. This candle right here was pretty nice if you added here, but obviously not enough bids, not enough support here for it to kind of push up. And it pretty much just fucking died out here. It did push back later in the day up to the 200 at 174. To me, this is kind of like a random spike. You do have this 5-minute dip right here. Again, low volume, but it does hold VWAP 155. So there's a lot of reasons why this dip was okay-ish. The volume wasn't great, but you have a couple points here where it holds. So pretty clear, obvious pivot point. But other than that trade, nothing much going on here. Maybe it'll run later in the week. Moving over to CHEK, CHEK. Some people either got checks or got checked on this one. This one, again, we have something, the old middle day bull flag phenomenon. You see this a ton. I never play any of this because usually I'm focused more on the first couple hours of the day. But when you have these midday runners or stocks that are fading for the first half of the day and then push later in the day, we tend to get like straight up bull flags, which is nice to see. We don't really get this too early on, I feel like, but I don't know if this popped on news. It probably did, but straight up here, I'm sure there's a key level here at 106, but we are at 1. 1's always a good pivot level. So that was a good pivot, kind of double bottom flag there. It kind of has this rising wedge, little rising support line here. And then just goes bananas. Goes fucking bananas. This was a little nice 1-minute dip if you missed anything down here. Sometimes I like to catch these as like a still higher risk, but not as high as kind of doing a breakout trade, kind of dipping back to the previous high, and then it breaks out. To me, this is, I mean, it's hard to kind of control risk up here. Once you're like up here, you don't really want to trade it that often, but here was super nice bull flag right there, up into the 200. So another reject off of the 200, so that's also noted as well. And then it's trying to push here in after hours, so we'll see. We'll probably be pushing in pre-market tomorrow. We'll have to check in back on that. CYN, moving to CYN. CYN is a known piece of shit. If you ever traded CYN, you know this to be true. So I tend to stay away from it. This stock, if you look at the daily, has been beaten down to basically a fine dust of fucking nothing. I mean, look at this. A couple weeks ago, this shit was at $10. Now, basically at 0 cents. Pops up on the gap scanner because there's literally nothing here from 160 to 50 cents. There's a gap fill level. Pre-market, we get to $1. I don't love this. Anything that's kind of pushing, like the 7, 8 a.m. pop straight up and then just kind of fade off into open have been dog shit. And then again, a classic kind of up, down, and then death pattern here. Yes, I don't like any of this. I mean, again, we have another flag right here. If you're kind of more of a all-day type of trader, this flag right here was super nice over VWAP, but it really didn't go anywhere. So that is it for that. Didn't fill in the gap anywhere. DRCT, another one similar to CHEK. This one just kind of went straight up. This one rode the 190 EMA, but it was in a halt the whole time, basically. Don't know if there's a key level here at 187. Probably is. Holds that level, starts to halt again. I mean, this thing... this thing halted the entire day. Craziness. But yeah, anything that comes from under $1 and does stuff like this, it's really hard to control and have risk management unless you're doing kind of small shares for your account. But overall, I mean, that's a fucking crazy move. It started off at what, 50 cents? It went to $5. God damn! It's fucking thick as fuck. Anyways, nice move here in after hours. That's fucking sick. Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot here. I don't have a whole lot of trend lines for this. This is just a straight up halt stock. We'll see what it does tomorrow. Edibles. Everyone's eating their edibles. This thing ran on Friday. The highs of that were 46. Nice push here in pre-market. I didn't really like it at all. Day 2 moves or back-to-back. Runners are typically not a thing, especially if it's pushing in pre-market. We do have some solid push here. Again, nice kind of okay flag, right? We have a dip down to this 42 pivot level, and it's over VWAP. So flags over VWAP, any like VWAP reclaim flagging into it, they tend to be pretty bullish. Pretty easy scalp or trade there. The only thing I don't like is it is running into 46, so sometimes this could just be straight up, straight down. But it did hold and it did push. So that is one thing I'm noticing is VWAP flags today. It does push over, it comes back, it does a nice, beautiful double bottom flag here. This is solid. I'll give this an A+ trade right there. I mean, you get what, 45 to 55. That's not a bad take-home pay. After that, I think it just fades and the volume dies off. But was this in a downtrend the whole time? Yeah, I mean, kinda. But hard to kind of trade off of this level, I think. But up here, you can get some good scalps. Moving to GTBP. GTBP. This thing took off, went from $2 to $6. But it was fading into open. One thing from last week is anything kind of having in a downtrend, holding a support level into the intra 200 level, into this intra 200 tends to be very bullish, or at least have a push off the rip. So if I was going to take a trade on this, open bell trade, first couple minute trade, I wanted to hold this area, push up to like 390 and then possibly 450. But this thing ended up dying off. It did push back. We do have a nice flag here over the intra 200, and then a double top into the daily 200, and then fail. So that's what the third stock now we've seen that has run into the daily 200. So keep that in mind. Always remember to mark that on the daily chart. Very useful. A lot of people use it for either bullish or bearish reasons. HOVR. HOVR was also a multi-day runner, I believe. Let's double check. Yeah, I mean, kind of not really. Like, there wasn't a whole lot of volume. I like to mark previous spike days that have at least some form of structure. So 78 here, and then we have a pre-market push to $1 there. So this one wasn't bad either. I thought it was okay, but usually when things go straight up super early in after hours and then just fade off, these are the ones that tend to be bad too, especially if you look at the volume here. The volume was ass. So for me, I'm probably not going to take a trade off of open. Therefore, other people probably aren't going to take a trade off of open, or at least the volume's not going to be there to push it up to 90s. It does kind of U pattern here, but off low volume. I don't really care about that. But yes, we do have things in downtrends that already have like after hours, but you know, if it pushes here, comes down, and then in pre-market goes like that, and then kind of does like this, and then oh, it's holding this pivotal level and opens around here and still kind of in this downtrend. This is the time where I find there's a lot of value, especially if it's near the intra 200, where you want to add somewhere down here and then have a push to either the previous high at $1 or the daily 200 at $1.03 or pre-market highs at 117. So that's just my take. I've been finding this pattern very useful. I think we'll go over it here on RELI in a little bit. JDZG, this one has no volume. If it had more volume, it wouldn't be that bad, but it just kind of died off. There was a gap fill level from 91 to 98, basically $1, but just no volume. All right, moving to LAES. LAES dill pickle chips. This one was super nice. Me trading multi-day recycled names, I absolutely fucking suck at these trades. However, we do have a key level where it ran at 345 here. Let's go back to December 16th. It got to highs of 346, and this LAES has been a previous runner over and over, so it's kind of been a grindy stock. It's been around for a while. We do get a spike here. It's holding over top of it. We have a spike. I did like, obviously, dipping into the previous high is never a bad idea. It doesn't always work, but super nice idea. I just tend to stay away from these because my win percentage on these things are terrible. But nice push here, nice hold over view up and the intra 200. You kind of have like a double bottom flag here. You also have the yearly highs at 397. Breaks through. So this trade from here to here, super nice. It does consolidate more. Failed rotation, kind of a double top there. It starts to fade off at this point. I would probably be staying away from it. But again, we reclaim this. We reclaim the 1 years. And then you have a couple nice opportunities. One here. You have one here. And then you have this extended dip right here. So 3 trades, and then it extends the fuck out into 5. Super nice trade. A lot slower than some of the penny stocks, low floaters, but again, there's a lot of opportunity here to make a lot of moolah. All right, going to Light. Light was also a multi-day runner, recycled name. This thing ran on Friday. Yes, highs of 386, went straight down off of open. This is your typical backside bounce here. Straight up, straight down, fading into open. These, again, never work. I shouldn't say never work, but they 99.9% hand sanitizer usually never fucking work. So tend to avoid those unless they get volume and kind of break over the pre-market highs. PHIO, this thing, another example of one that goes straight up right in after hours and then just continues to fade. These suck too. There's not a lot to go over here straight off. I mean, it does kind of a similar move to, was it GTBP, where it just kind of rotates randomly around 1030. But other than that, there was nothing there. All right, moving to Pike, P-I-K. Pike. Pike was another one, straight up, straight down. I did like Pike more just because the volume was a little bit better. Structure-wise, was a little bit better. It was still holding kind of the 200. You do have a nice dip here to 320s, spike up. And then the first like 5-minute flag after the spike tends to produce some movement upwards, not always. But we have another push into view up and then it dies out. So this is the kind of stuff I'm looking for. Last week we had a lot of this where first couple candles dip and then push. I mean, we're talking 330 into 460s, 470s. Pretty fucking good return, but that was it. So you gotta, I think it's this market, you kind of gotta take your money, especially because it's a holiday weekend. But moving to PWM, this is straight up, this is the Volcano pre-market, not too concerned with that. RAPT, this one coming from under $1. These tend to halt, have tight halt bands. I also tend to stay away from these. This one, holding flat over VWAP, nice push here down, kind of like this mini flag, and then it spikes. If we go to, I think it was PBM. Let's go to PBM real quick. Yeah. Okay. PBM, was it this one? Maybe I'm thinking of something else, but this is sort of similar where it's kind of a flat price action. This one's kind of a bull flag right here, and then it goes. Maybe not really the same, honestly. What was I at? RAPT. But we do have a couple of instances where things just kind of go flat and then they push out. This was a nice push here, nice hold, nice push into 230s. I don't know if this halted or not. Did it halt there? No. Surprisingly, this didn't halt. But straight up, straight down, again, Volcano price action is the name of the game. Unless you're like in one of those halt stocks, it's just, yeah, volume's probably taken out of the market right now, so it's not doing too good. Okay, moving to Relish, R-E-L-I. So this is the one where we did get some dip to the intra 200 and then push out into kind of the first level. These boxes are for me just to kind of see buying and selling where kind of we want to sell off a chunk. So this thing did push up, it did fade down. Usually this means it's over. I still probably wouldn't have added under here. It does break VWAP here and then a mini flag and go straight up into a halt. And then it kind of gets to 511 or the gap fill level pre-market highs and then dies out. And so that's another thing too, is anything that gets close to pre-market high, also just we're not getting moves over pre-market high. Trending towards the end of the last week, we saw more stocks hit pre-market high less, and the ones that did just double topped and faded back. So just be careful of that as well. Doesn't mean they can't go, but you know, take some off near pre-market highs. But yeah, this kind of sucks, just straight up and then death. So RIP in the chat for that one. SLGL, this one just a random one that goes straight up. I'm not really gonna review it. That's just halt stocks. Don't really give a shit. XTP, what is this? Not gonna review that. TRAW, TRAW, TRAW. Straight up, straight down. It did consolidate though here and it had an uptrend. I think I said this a couple times last week. Things that are opening already over 10, I usually stay away from just because people gravitate more towards sub $10 tickers. So these kind of can be questionable sometimes, but it did have a good structure. The volume was pretty good, probably one of the best of the day. It was over its daily 200 at 10. So there's a lot of positive things here. So you can't deny that. We have a nice up down dip and then a push out. We have a beautiful flag here and then a push again. So it does get the pre-market high. And for me, this is another dip and then rip past pre-market high. So just an unusual type of move that we've seen before and then just straight death. See, this is the problem with this market right now is momentum the first like hour and then most of the times death. And if it dies at the open, it has like one push maybe and then it dies out again. So it's you can make a lot of money, but you can get chopped up pretty quickly. All right, last one is WISE. Why is a volcano? Death, don't care. Pretty trash. But yeah, that is going to be it for today. Tomorrow is going to be markets close at 1 p.m. I expect another similar day. Sometimes we do have some bullish runs before holidays, but other times we just get nothing. So prepare for the worst, but you never know. But let's all make a bag. Peace.